Hey there, in this video we're going to look at linear equations with no solutions this time. So again, no solutions looking at the format ax plus b equals 0 for a linear equation. We will get no solutions if the a is equal to 0 and b is not equal to 0. So if a is equal to 0 right here and b is not equal to 0, that will lead us to no solutions. So non-zero constant values create a situation in which the equation is never true. So if I have something like 0x plus 4 equals 0, 0x is 0. That is not necessary there because 0 plus 4 is just 4. And if we have 0 in that ax spot, then we just have the constant b. If it is not 0, it is going to be a number that's not 0 equal to 0, which is never going to be true. So that is never true regardless of the value of x, because 0 times anything for 0x is going to be 0, and 0 plus whatever b is going to be b, and that cannot equal 0 if it's not 0, if b is not 0. So if the equation is never true, that means that no matter what x is, the solution is not going to actually make that equation true, or the number for x is not going to make that equation true. So there are then no solutions. Now, just to show you how to solve that, manipulate it just like we did in the one solution case. We have an equation ax plus b equals 0, where a is 0. That's going to give us this general format. And so what we would do, we would first start by looking at 0x. 0x is 0 times whatever x is, which is going to come out to be 0. 0 plus b is just going to be b. And whatever b is, if it's not 0, if it's 4, 4 doesn't equal 0. If it's negative 2 doesn't equal 0. If it's 27, 27 doesn't equal 0. So no matter what, it comes out to be no solutions as our answer, as long as b is not 0. So let's practice with a couple examples. So 0x plus 36 equals 0. Again, 0x is going to be 0. So 0 plus 36 equals 0. 0 plus 36 is 36. 36 does not equal 0. That is going to be no solution. Now, I do want to point out they won't necessarily all be in this format right here. You could have something else, a different equation. If you end up with no variables left and you end up with a false statement like 36 equals 0, or negative 2 equals 0, or 7 equals 0, or something like that, any of those false statements where the variables cancel out or gone, and you're just left with constants, if they are not equivalent, then that would indicate no solution. So looking at number 2, 0x again is just 0, so 0 minus 9 equals 0. 0 minus 9 is just negative 9, and negative 9 does not equal 0, so again, this is no solution. Now, remember that a solution is finding the place on the graph where that linear graph crosses the x-axis. So for example, in this picture right here, this is our solution right here because that's the point where it crosses the x-axis. Now, if I take the two equations that we just solved and we just got no solution for them, if you look at the blue line that's graphed, that is the line that indicates the equation that's written there. So there's one and there's another. And you'll notice I'm going to highlight in black the x-axis in each of them. So here's our x-axis on this one, and here's our x-axis on that one. Notice that they are parallel in both cases. They are the blue lines are horizontal, and they are parallel to the x-axis in each case. It is never going to cross the x-axis. So because it never crosses that x-axis, that's how we get no solutions. If I were to look at this graphically, I would also get no solution because, again, that graph does not cross the x-axis, and so therefore it has no solutions. So in summary to what we just said, just as a reminder, linear equations with no solutions will be a straight horizontal line that is parallel to the x-axis when graphed. It never intersects the x-axis, and that's what makes it have no solutions as our answer. So there are a couple examples here color-coded to match their graph. So the red one, for example, y equals 0, x plus 2. If I do 0 times x, I get 0. So this is really just y equals 2. And that's this line right here that never crosses the x-axis, which is this axis right here. So if it never crosses that x-axis, then that means it has no solutions. Same with the blue. This is just a different example, different numbers, but this y equals 0.75 does not ever cross the x-axis. Same with the green. 0x minus 1 is really just -1. So that one right there, that green, does not cross the x-axis, so it has no solution as the answer. And then same thing with the purple one as well. So anytime we have y equals just a constant, that is going to be a horizontal line, which will then have no solutions because it is a horizontal line that is not crossing the x-axis ever. So key takeaways from this video. When we have a linear equation, ax plus b equals 0, where a is 0, and b is not 0, that's going to get us to a statement where we have no x because we have 0x plus b equals 0. And if b equals 0, but we just said b does not equal 0, that tells us that there is no solutions. When we're solving, just like we just talked about here, if it's in that format 0x plus b equals 0, then that 0x is just gone because 0 times x is 0, and then add that to b and you just get b equals 0. So again, that indicates that no solution. And then graphically, we talked about if this is our xy coordinate plane, remember that when we have something in that format 0x plus b equals 0, it's going to be a horizontal line, and it is never going to cross that x-axis, and that's why it indicates a no solution answer.